It's Tuesday again. Happy Tuesday. Happy fifth day of Christmas, which means my true love is supposed to bring me 5 gold rings along with 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. Well, as we head towards the new year, this is going to be an exciting episode. I'm Dr. Dina McMillan, and thank you for joining me today on Heart and Mind. Now, let's look at what Heart and Mind is. It is the best show on a Tuesday. Tuesdays are usually boring, except here. Please join me every Tuesday. Have your friends join me. If you're watching this live, please sign in whatever platform you're using so that you can actually write comments and questions while we're streaming, and I can answer them right away. We're on at 8 p.m. Eastern Time every Tuesday. And if you miss an episode or want to rewatch an episode, you can do so. I usually upload the episodes on my X feed, which is at Dr. Dina 1, all one word, DRDINA 1, or you can watch on Daily Clout, Rumble, or YouTube. So I hope that this is the first of many times, or you're one of my regular audience members, and we're going to go into this new year really strong. Why do I say this show is better than other shows? Well, I wouldn't say better, but I would say it is such key information you won't find anywhere else without going to college and taking a course you have to pay a lot of money for. And even then, a lot of these points may be missed because I'm a social psychologist. Now, what do we study? We study how the brain works. So we look at how we learn, how we're influenced and persuaded and manipulated and indoctrinated and brainwashed. And of course, most of this happens beyond our conscious awareness. So what I do with this show is I show you these mechanisms that are found everywhere in our society, everywhere in your life. I show you how to identify them, and the ones you don't want, the ones that conflict with your values, I show you how to cut those strings. I show you how to protect yourself. That's why this show is so worth watching. All of us got a really good lesson in how easily we're persuaded and manipulated during the COVID fiasco. So many people believed things that were absolute nonsense. So many people believed whatever they were being told, even though there was so much evidence in our environment that it wasn't true. And they believed it because they pulled out all of the stops using all of the tactics of influence and manipulation to control the population. And it worked on most people. I don't want you to be most people. I want you to be stronger than that. And as you're shoring up your defenses against manipulation, here's a great way to do it. Get your own copy of the Pfizer papers. This book is so invaluable. You can just go on Amazon, get your own copy. What happened is Pfizer went to court and wanted to protect the studies and the data that they had on the vaccinations that they were offering. Now, if you've been paying attention, it's really starting to even hit mainstream media, how dangerous they were, how harmful they were, how some of the harm is permanent. They knew this before they even offered it to the public, but they wanted to hide it. So they went to court and asked to hide the studies for 75 years. The court said no. So Dr. Naomi Wolf, Amy Kelly, a whole team of people got together, pulled those studies out, went through them, and then basically deciphered them for the mainstream public. Gives you invaluable information. Now, at the time that I'm doing this show, which is the 30th of December, 2025, not one person has gone to jail yet for what happened during COVID. Even with all the deaths, even with all the damage, even with the untold amount of wealth that was lost by regular people and just transferred to the elite, No one yet has gone to jail for that. So the probability of it being used again, tried again, done again is high. Protect yourself. Get your copy of the Pfizer papers. Now, we're going to do something a little lighter today as we end the year, because I know if you've been paying attention to social media, especially X, which is the source to get the news on what's going on in the world, it's not screened like mainstream media, where they're paid by the people committing the crimes not to report the crimes. So if you don't have an X account, get one. I want you to be able to know what's going on in the world. But all over X, everybody's talking about all the fraud going on with the Somali community in the United States. Billions and billions and billions of dollars stolen. But it's not just the Somali community. We have ethnic communities of all kinds that are basically using the American taxpayer like an idiot's ATM, just coming in and rorting the system. So it is really discouraging. If you're not somebody in a position of power in government and you feel like you can't do anything about it, it is very frustrating watching this, because you're like, this is horrible. They have the proof. The evidence is right there. What can I do about it? Well, we can make sure we don't vote for people who don't take action. We may be able to protest. We could do some other things. But in the meantime, let's talk about what's going on in your life and how to improve your life. So we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions today, how to build the life you want instead of just wishing for it. I know every New Year's we all think, oh, I wish next year this would happen or that would happen. Or maybe you've become so cynical, you don't even ask. You don't even look. You just kind of go to bed and cover your head with a pillow. We're going to talk today about powerful ways to have New Year's resolutions that actually work. I want them to work for you, and we're going to make sure that they work for you. So stay with me. Did you know every major financial collapse has been preceded by the same 7 warning signs? Before the Great Depression, before the 1970s stagflation, before the crash of 2008. Now all 7 are flashing red again for the first time in over 15 years. But American Alternative Assets just released a free report called the Bellwether Signal. It breaks down each of these signals and shows how to protect your retirement before the next wave hits. In times of uncertainty, gold has always been the ultimate safe haven. It held strong in 2008. It actually surged during the inflation crisis of the 1970s. And it remains one of the few assets not tied to political manipulation or central bank policy. Find out why central banks are buying it in record amounts, and now you can too. Call 855-803-GOLD or visit cloutgold.com to get your free copy of the Bellwether Signal. That's 855-803-GOLD or go to cloutgold.com. Learn the signs, protect your savings, and make sure you make this move while you still can. Okay, we're back. And I had Frank sign in and make a comment talking about the COVID fiasco. And he said he's forgiven many of his friends, neighbors, and relatives for the behavior during the COVID scam, but he has not forgotten. No, nor should we. But if anything, what that showed you, because there were so many inconsistencies, you did not need a PhD like I have to say, well, wait a minute, if COVID is really so dangerous that I have to stand 6 feet apart and that we all have to wear a mask. Why are we wearing a mask that says on the side it doesn't protect against COVID? Why don't we also have to wear gloves? Why is it that when we go in the grocery store, the person checking my groceries can touch everything I'm buying? If this thing is so dangerous, why aren't there hazmat disposal units on every corner so you can throw away your mask and whatever else you have to have. It just didn't make any sense. It made the response to COVID made my hackles rise. At first, I was like, oh my goodness. So I made myself my little masks according to what they said you needed. They were really cute, of course. I made them cute. But then my hackles kept rising. It just too many inconsistencies. Why could I go to Amazon or why could I go to a large store, but not a smaller store? Why couldn't I go to the beach? I was in Australia during COVID, and they were putting people in jail for going to the beach. Now, it was pretty evident quickly that vitamin D was one of the best protections against COVID. And yet, you couldn't go outside. That makes no sense. We had to wear masks outside. I was in Melbourne, which had the longest, toughest lockdown in the world. We had to wear masks outside when the masks said they didn't protect against COVID and you needed to get fresh air. That made no sense. It was too obviously a manipulation of society rather than a protective set of policies. No. So yes, you're right, Frank. This is what it showed up. But I want to say this before we get so hard on the people who were easily convinced and coerced by COVID. It showed all of us how easily we can be manipulated, and we can all be manipulated if we don't stand back, ask hard questions, and then respond according to what we're told. So let's start. The best way to start the protection against manipulation is to start with you. Before you start telling everybody else what they should do, let's talk about you starting with you. We all set resolutions, even if we only do them mentally. But by February, most resolutions are completely gone. The most of them don't stick. And I think that's very unfortunate. What people want to change. We're going to talk about today. We're going to do something fun. It's going to sound interesting. And by the way, I would suggest you either type or get a piece of paper or something. You may actually get some ideas here for your own resolutions and how to handle them so that you have a better chance of actually making them work for you long term. But also, even if you have your resolutions, pay attention. You may find a new one. Okay, we're going to talk about what most people want to change. I know I'm nosy. I want to know what's going on in other people's lives as well. What do most people put on their list? Why do most resolutions fail? That's really discouraging. But if you've ever watched the show before, you know I will not leave you there. We're going to talk about how to make your resolutions work and to make them last. So we're going to increase the probability that whatever you make a resolution for, you're going to actually have it work, and you're going to write to me and you're going to be really happy and you're going to send me photos. Oh, that's my dream. Okay. So let's look. What are the most popular resolutions? Number one, with regard to health. And by the way, if you want to tell me yours, just sign in on whatever platform you're watching the show and just write into the comment section, because I'm sure other people would like to know as well. I know I would. With health, lose weight, work out more, improve your diet. These are the top three for most people for the resolution for the new year. What's next? Read more books. And oh, by the way, if you've told yourself you're going to read more, can I suggest that if you get books, electronic books on a Kindle, like I have a Kindle, I love my Kindle, because when I travel, it means that I can actually take all kinds of books, and it's small. You know how hard it is to travel with anything heavy. And Roscoe's here says, mine is that most cliche one about which one, lose weight, work out more, or change your diet. Those are like the number three. If you're going to read more books, I would suggest if a book is important to you, you get it on electronic form, or you have an audio book, which is what I do. as well. If I find a book valuable, I get it in a hard copy, either paperback or hard copy, but a physical copy that they have found in neuroscience that our brain processes the information differently and better if you actually read a book that you hold in your hands. And you can, even if it's your book, you can highlight it or whatever, but holding a book in your hands is actually going to embed that information more deeply than seeing it in electronic form. Now here, the more ways and contexts you get that information, the deeper it's going to go. So for instance, I got a book called Talk Like Ted. Now we're talking years ago, got Talk Like Ted because I do a lot of public speaking and training and educating. So it was a book that said, learn the tricks used by the most influential TED speakers. I was like, great. Carmine Gallo, great book. I get the book, it's fantastic. So what did I do? I know how the brain works. I got it in an actual physical hard copy. So then I also got it in an audio version, and I listened to it as I went on my daily walks. We're going to talk about doing that sort of thing today as well. But if you want to learn something new, try to learn it in as many formats as possible. If you're going to read more books, the number one way to get a book is a real physical book. Now, if that's too expensive or you don't have space, I understand that. Then I would still suggest try to get it in audio form as well. The more ways you hit your brain with it, the deeper it's going to go, and the more that information will start informing your life choices, because that's what you want. You may also want to learn a new skill or take a class. These are also resolutions. I'm actually going to take that cooking class. I'm actually going to take that class in wood shop or car mechanics or whatever it is. Here are some other really popular resolutions, and pipe in Frank, Althea, Roscoe, anybody else. Tell me if any of these resonate. Get a new job. I am definitely aiming for more contracts because I have such great information and I'm constantly learning and adding to it. And I want you all to be informed. And we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. Save more money. Ooh, one of the things, dream. If any of you are in any way connected to HUD, I would love to get to the people who are part of, housing and urban development. Because when you're dealing with people who are doing it tough, one of the things they really need is financial literacy. Now, I've learned and trained in financial literacy. It is an invaluable skill. I don't know why they let kids graduate high school without it. So, saving more money, yes, yes, yes. And Roscoe says he needs a new job too. So Roscoe, send me your resume. You never know who I might meet. Or upskill professionally. Take some of those courses. So much of what you need to upskill, even if you don't have the money, you can learn it off YouTube. Or if you work for a company, you'd be surprised at what they will support if you go to them and say, we've been getting a lot of ABC, and there's a course at the local college that costs this amount where I can learn the best ways to do that so it's more efficient, fewer mistakes, whatever. Your boss may actually pay for it. But upskill, this is another thing people say they want to do. Okay, let's talk about mental health and wellness. Reduce screen time. I have to say, over the last month or so, 2 months, I've had to reduce my screen time because there's so much negative news that I find myself getting really down. I find myself dreaming about it at night. And if you have kids, or even if they're young adults, they have linked higher depression with more screen time. They've linked loss of confidence with more time on Instagram. You know how on Insta, everybody presents this idealized version of their life? Being presented with that nonstop for young people, they're especially sensitive to this. And it makes them feel whatever is going on in their lives isn't enough. and it reduces their confidence. But we all could use less screen time, okay? We need to go outside more, especially somewhere where we can take off our shoes and stand on the grass, okay? Crucial. It's Roscoe says it's nonstop conspiracy clickbait on YouTube. Actually, I've started posting information on my YouTube channel again. Believe me, nothing I do is conspiracy theory. And as you've seen on this show, every time I talk about a problem, I always want to talk about the solution as well. Simple solutions, simple tools that you can just take and use the same day you get them. I am not about just, I believe in pointing out the negativity, but only as a first step to finding solutions. Now, here's another thing all of us probably need: get more sleep. Especially when a lot of things have been going wrong, when we see all of our money being stolen by our government, by our people we thought we could trust. We see wonderful people who are trying to make the world a better place getting killed. We see the people who are doing this not being held accountable. It is so disheartening. It can influence our sleep. We have to get enough sleep. It is so core to wellness, general wellness. Please do whatever you can to get enough sleep. And it's linked to the screen time as well. I have read suggestions, which I'm going to be doing as well, because I tend to be on my X feed a lot, seeing what's going on. But I'm going to start putting my phone down and not looking at my screen for several hours before I go to sleep. They said that actually improves the likelihood you'll get good sleep. And I don't want anybody taking chemicals. Hot milk with cinnamon. Try to find chamomile tea. Try to find a natural way to improve your sleep. Travel more. Oh, I would love to travel more. I love seeing the world. I've lived in 5 countries and I still want to. There's so many countries I haven't been to. There are continents I haven't been to Asia yet. I really want to see the world. So this could be one of your resolutions. I'm going to make sure I travel more. A yoga or meditation class, that really can help your mental health for this year. If you can get into a yoga or a meditation class, I would say go for it. A lot of people have resolutions. The challenge is, are you going to stick with it past next month or the month after? In our relationships, what are the relationship resolutions that people make? Spend more time with my kids. When you're working every hour God sends to pay all of those taxes that the government is stealing. I'm sorry, just a moment of bitterness there, just a moment of bitterness. People say, no, I need to prioritize my children. I need to prioritize my spouse. Nothing is healthier for kids than having parents in a healthy, committed relationship where they love each other, cherish each other, and treat each other with respect. So I'm going to even have classes on some of this stuff. Anything with the relationships, I can help you have a better relationship with your spouse. I can help you get a spouse. I can help you have better taste. We're going to talk about all of that. I'm going to be offering classes on all of that. That can make your life completely different than it is right now. A lot of people need to find a new romantic relationship, and they tell themselves, this year I'm actually going to do it. No excuses, I'm going to do it. Or I'm going to make new friends. I'm always happy to make new friends, real friends. And it's especially tough for me. I don't know if anybody else is like me, but having a family that is still angry with you about Donald Trump winning the election and about you not being woke. I'm not spending time with my family like I used to. So I need to find replacements. I need to find friends that are like family. And we all benefit from having strong social bonds. Nothing will age you faster than not having good social bonds. It's important. Here's some other things. Declutter or deep clean. Look around your house. Now you can see where I am right now. My house is always clean. I keep my house clean. Decluttering and cleaning, not my issue, but it is for a lot of people. You might say, I'm going to end this bad habit. I'm going to stop swearing. I'm going to stop chewing on my nails. I'm going to stop procrastinating. If something needs to be done, I'm going to get it done. Now that ties into something that I've often talked about. What is it? Integrity. Okay. When you have integrity, you are less likely to procrastinate because you hold yourself highly accountable for whatever you say you're going to do. So you won't put it off. So if you want a really quick step to not procrastinate, look at the episodes that I've talked about growth mindset and I've talked about building integrity. So go even further. Stop procrastinating isn't good enough. Build that integrity so you just have a much better life on every level. So you're more trustworthy, you're more trusted, you just have stronger bonds with people. Build that integrity. It will help you stop procrastinating, and you don't even have to focus on that as a separate issue. Okay, stop being late. Oh my goodness, I know some people that are always late. Now, for me, my dad was military and he got transferred to Germany when I was a teenager. So some of my friends from high school actually watched this show. One of the things I picked up from the Germans is always be at least 5 minutes early for whatever appointment that you have. If I am exactly on time, I feel late. It is so disrespectful to the other people. I've actually changed dentists. I've changed my GP, my doctor, because I will go to an appointment and they'll leave me sitting there for an hour. And I have told them, do you know how much an hour of my time costs? And you're just going to leave me sitting here? That's so disrespectful. If you wanted me to come later, you should have told me that. So I've actually changed. You don't do that to people. It is disrespectful. So leave the excuses behind. I would say with any of these resolutions, number one, leave the excuses behind. No excuses. You can go on Google, on Grok, on any of the search engines and see about how do I stop being late? How do I stop procrastinating? They will give you so many little videos, so many little tips, so much information. No excuses. Let this be that in 2026, the year where you have a clean house, you have a decluttered house, you stop swearing, and especially, I have to say, this is a big bugaboo. I have noticed that even in shows I like, every other word is F this and F that and S this, and not our world is not improved by bad language. And sorry to say this, ladies, but it is especially bad for women. What they've done, a lot of writers, they want to present a woman as being strong and powerful, so they'll make her really foul-mouthed. But if you look at the choices and decisions she makes, she's weak as anything, selfish, childish, entitled. But they show her she's strong. She says F this and she curses out her boss. No, that is not the world we want. Remember, it starts with you. Get a swear jar and actually make yourself put money in it. And keep track of how much you're spending on it. If you're actually doing what you're supposed to, every month will have less and less money in it. Frank put something here, a little song, pick you up at 8 and don't be late. Yes. All of this is about respecting yourself and respecting other people. There is nothing that needs to be said that needs swearing to get your point across. And in fact, one of the things I've told you before about having integrity, when you have integrity, you don't even have to raise your voice. Ask my ex-husband. I never raised my voice at him. But if I told him, if this happens, this is going to be my response, he knew that he could have bet his entire pension on it, because I held myself accountable for what I said, and I never threatened. I only promised. If I said it, I would do it. So I was really careful about saying, if you do this, I'm going to do that. I was really careful about that because I felt I had to keep my integrity and I had to maintain that if I said it. So all of this is about being just so much stronger, so much healthier, so much better as a person. And it can be easily done. None of this is hard. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Okay, and some of you need to make some serious changes. You need to get back to church. You need to get spiritually linked again. You need to see a therapist. Make sure you get a good therapist, not an activist. Because one of the biggest issues we've got right now is that over the last 20 years, therapists have become activists, and they all want to promote that left-wing ideology and philosophy on life, and it doesn't help anybody. Fine, if you aren't satisfied with the first one, that is not an excuse to quit. Just keep looking until you find someone who is patient-centered and really skilled and will help you be your best you, okay? And if you don't see any real changes, if you're not motivated to change, it's okay to get another one. Support to end an addiction. Some people are addicted to screens. We've had a whole show on being addicted to your phone. Having an addiction, alcohol, drugs, pornography, gambling. You know, I mentioned also before that I'm a former commissioner for gambling and liquor regulation. And I have a really powerful education program that can show people how to gamble safely. Now, I'm not talking about people who are already addicted. This is how you gamble safely. I'm talking about people who aren't addicted. How do you keep it in control? How do you not stay within budget? How do you not let it get beyond you? I actually have a really powerful education program around that. And I developed it because I saw what a big problem gambling can be in many people's lives. And it's one thing that's not talked about enough. You hear people talking about alcoholism and drug addiction, and you hear some about pornography, but people aren't talking enough about the issues brought by gambling. And far more people are addicted to gambling than the average person realizes. Well, what about infidelity? Maybe one of your serious things for resolutions for this year is I'm going to stop cheating. And a therapist could help you with that. A spiritual leader could help you with that. You can even get help again by going on a search engine and looking up, how do I remain faithful? What can I do? What are some tools and tips to remain faithful? And by the way, with any of these, my beautiful audience, if you want to know some really easy tips and tools, if you want me to do a show on any of these issues where we talk about the tips and tools that I've seen over the years to be the most effective, just send me a message. Contact me on X and tell me, can you do a show on whatever? Okay. What about leaving an abusive relationship? That's my number one specialty. How to deal with that. Maybe that's something that you've resolved to do this year. And again, it's not something you have to do tomorrow. It's not, you may have to build up to it. So for anybody who's cynical, if you're cynical about resolutions, you're probably not even watching this show. But for anybody that's cynical, making a resolution really matters. Making a firm decision really matters. You are far more likely to get to that goal if you actually have a firm goal. Most people want more confidence, purpose, success in their life. It makes a difference if you actually claim it. And having a clear date where you're going to start this, your aim towards this goal is also great. It's fantastic. And having a date like the 1st of January, where you have so many other people starting new things too, it can actually give you some social support as you start aiming for a better life and a better you. Here's why it goes awry. Okay, let's talk a little bit before we get to the solutions. Let's talk about where we go wrong. Most people don't develop the kind of habits they need to make their resolutions successful. Every resolution you make is going to require a new habit. So you have to get used to doing things a certain way. And just so you know, every time you pull something out, you say, I'm not going to swear anymore. You will be far more successful if you have something in its place. I don't swear. if I drop something, I say, oh dear, or oh gosh, or something like that. I get actually laughed at, especially when I go to Australia, because Australians swear like sailors. And they think it's hilarious that I'm not effing this and essing this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Or, oh dear, look what happened. Anytime you replace, you need to replace. If you're going to take something out, displace something, pull it out, put something in its place, or it's not going to work. Otherwise, you'll leave an empty space, and it's too easy to refill it with what was already there before. So if you're going to do something differently and better, if you say, I'm going to not do this, ask yourself, what am I going to do instead? And have a firm plan for that. We're going to talk about that a little later. Sometimes, though, you tell yourself, I'm going to live a better life. You're so vague. This is another reason people don't actually keep their resolutions or they don't reach their goals. It's too vague. What do you mean by you're going to be healthier or you're going to have a better relationship? What does that look like to you? No, you cannot be vague about your goals and expect to reach them. Sometimes your goals are too big. I have a family member who does this. She's made so many goals over the years, but she always wants to go from 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. So always really quick, really big, and never the steps in between. So she's probably actually reached fewer goals than just about anybody I know. The goals are too big, they're too ambitious, they don't have enough steps to them. Here's another resolution mistake. Trying to change too many things at once. We're going to talk about that. If you have a list of resolutions, we're going to talk about how you might need to triage those. Which ones go first? And once you're successful with those, then you try the next set. Don't try to do too many things at once. The anxiety level will probably knock you off course. Here's mistake number 4. Not making the goals really clear with actionable steps. So I'm going to lose weight by only having sweets on Saturdays, or only having a day off as far as eating goes every 2 weeks. You got to be really specific. Whatever you're going to do, be really, really specific about it. Because if you're not, you're probably not going to hit it. What about your values and motivations? Sometimes we get caught up in people telling us, you need to be in a relationship. Let's have that one, for instance, because I run into this a lot. Someone being told, well, you need to be in a relationship. And so they say, okay, next year I'm going to be in a relationship, but it's not really something they want for themselves. What they're looking at is healing some of the trauma from the past and getting their career aligned so that they feel good about what they do for a living, and building their friendships and building their self-confidence. Or they may have something else that's going on that is far more important, but everybody's pressuring them, so they feel like they have to say, this is a goal. That is one of the easiest ways for a goal not to happen, is if you don't really want it. Everything that's on your list, do you really want it? After you put it down, before you ask yourself, what order should this go? Ask yourself, do I really want this? If you don't really want it, take it off. You can always start a new list later after your life shifts and you become slightly different. Problem number 6, relying on willpower instead of building a new life habits. So you still have a house full of junk food and you're relying on willpower not to eat any of it. Chances of success go way down. what you do instead is take all that junk food out, replace it with healthy alternatives. And of course, you might be saying to yourself, well, Dr. Dina, you can always jump in your car and go to the grocery store, or even order something on Amazon. Of course you can, but that's extra steps you have to take to actually willfully go against your goal. So it gives you time to talk yourself out of it. Don't make it easy for you to go against your new resolutions. Don't make it easy to do it. Make it easy instead to stick with what your goal is. Here's another mistake: ignoring obstacles or not preparing for setbacks. Every time you do something new, especially big changes like moving to a new place, there's going to be so much X factor going on, so many unexpected problems that are going to arise. Plan ahead. How am I going to handle it if it happens? What are some of the obstacles I can expect? Again, go on a search engine. This age of technology has so many problems, but here's one of the benefits. You can go to a search engine and say, what are some of the obstacles that I can expect if I decide to whatever? And most of the search engines, most AI will actually tell you. So you can actually prepare yourself. Ooh, if that happens, what am I going to do about it? And actually have plans of action. So you don't just blindly walk into a hole that you didn't even know was there. Here's another mistake. As I mentioned, the family member, end goal, huge end goal, but no idea, no plan at all for how to get from point A to point Z. No plan at all. Just, I'm going to have plan Z. And listening to people, some of the motivational speakers that tell you, just let it happen, focus on the end goal. You also have, if you're going to make it happen, you need to focus on the steps that go in between. Because one thing, how do you know if the steps that happen are actually taking you closer or further away? Put some steps in there to your goal. Make it more likely that you're going to reach it. Don't just think of the goal, think of the processes. If I'm going to have this new life, if I'm going to be famous this year, I'm going to be a celebrity, what do I have to prepare for? I've seen this. I have a sister, my youngest sister's an actor. I've seen this. You have to prepare for not having privacy. You have to prepare for people, when you go out, people coming up and bugging you. I know that when I had a city hire me to do training for anybody that worked in the city. And again, I'm not bragging. I don't ever brag. What I offer is not only really useful, you don't find it anywhere else. So I always offer tools that people can use right away, whether they're judges whom I've trained or just regular Jane and Joe. So I found that when I would go back to the city and I'd go to lunch with somebody, people would walk up to me and want to talk about how they implemented what I taught them in their lives. So it was intrusive. I had to prepare for that. I had to be okay with that. If you're going to be wealthy, how are your relatives going to treat you? I know that as I got more education, I had a few relatives that were always starting arguments with me. Oh, you think you're so smart. You think I'm stupid. No, I'm doing this for me. It has nothing to do with you. You will generate envy. If you start to be successful, one of your goals is being successful. How are you going to handle the envy that you're going to also generate? How are you going to handle people asking you for work? Think about these things. I'm not talking about, don't talk yourself out of it. Just think about it a little bit so that you're prepared. Here's another mistake: not tracking your progress. I would suggest everybody get a journal. Now, you can have it be a little short journal that you don't have to write a lot about what happened to your day. You can just have a little notebook and where you write down, if you have some type of goal, like I'm going to walk at least 5 miles a day. I'm going to walk at least 15 minutes a day. Keep a little notebook, date Put the date on each day and say whether you did it or not. Give yourself a little star. Say, I did it or I didn't do it. Track your progress. And then you can think about what would help your progress and what is hindering you, but you have to keep track of it or it's easy for it to get away from you. Here's another mistake: quitting too soon after minor failures. If you're going for a big goal, it's very unusual for it to be just smooth sailing with no bumps. You're going to hit some bumps. How are you going to handle the bumps? Do not quit, okay? I know that Les Brown, the motivational speaker, one of the things he said that I really appreciated, he said, it's not over till I win. So this is where the growth mindset will help you enormously. Get Carol Dweck's book, or if you don't have time to read the book, she has a TED Talk. She's got YouTube videos. Listen to what she says. This is something you can implement in your life today. You don't even have to wait till tomorrow. Look at what Carol Dweck says about the growth mindset. The growth mindset will help with this one. You will be very disinclined to quit too soon because you've had a minor failure. When you have a growth mindset, a failure means, I still have something to learn. What can I learn from this so that I can do it better next time and next time I succeed? But wait, there's more, because this is Heart and Mind with Dr. Dina McMillan. You know I'm not going to leave you just talking about mistakes. You know that. Let's talk about what science, neurology, social science says will increase your chances of being successful at having a new year and a new you, having your resolutions actually work, having your resolutions actually last. Let's look at that. Okay, you ready? Number one, do not do your resolutions in your head. There is a special magic and power to writing things down. And I didn't say type. I said write. Write them down. Now, if you are going to get that notebook or that journal, this is a good place to write them down, but it doesn't have to be there. It can be on any piece of paper you can find. Frank says he loved Les Brown. And he has a quote here that says, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. Les Brown said a lot of really clever stuff. I really appreciated him. So again, no resolutions in your head. Just let them start there. Think about them. Ask yourself, do I really want this? And if you do, write it down. And that's when the magic happens. Okay, we're going to talk about resolution enhancers. I thought, let's talk about what enhances your resolution's opportunity for success. Number one, use the SMART formula to improve your likelihood of success. You've probably heard this before. SMART means specific, measurable, and it has to be achievable, realistic, and either timely or time bound. It depends on, I've seen it written both ways. Now, what it means by timely is have a time frame on it. For instance, if you say, I am going to walk for 15 minutes every day, that tells you the time part is the every day. 10 minutes, you set your watch. That's measurable. Achievable. Walking for 10 minutes, most people can do that. Realistic for most people. Have something that's smart. And again, another thing too, by the way, if you need to start smaller than you ultimately want to do, that's fine. Start small. As you build the discipline and the personal integrity with those smaller goals, it significantly increases your chances of achieving the larger goals. For instance, did you know that people who complete an AA degree at a community college and then go to a university are more likely to graduate with a BA than people who start at a four-year college? Look at that. Start small, start where you are. You can always build on it as you go. Resolution enhancer number 2. Focus on what you'll do instead of what you won't do. I know there's so much negativity in the world. So look at this. Look at the list that I put up there. Stay active. You need to be specific about that. What does stay active mean? It means I'm going to set my Fitbit so that every hour it tells me to get up and walk for 250 steps, and it really does. Okay? That's me staying active. I have to walk at least 10 minutes. I have to get 8 to 10,000 steps a day. Be specific, but also be positive. Don't sit, instead of saying, I'm not going to sit on the couch, I'm not going to sit all day on the couch, say, once an hour, I'm going to go get up and walk around the block. Or after a meal, I'm going to walk around the block. Focus on the positive and not on what you won't do. If you're trying to stop cursing, for instance, instead of saying, I'm not going to swear, say, when I'm frustrated, I'm going to stop and take a deep breath, and I'm going to think of something else to say, something positive to say. I'm not going to let things get beyond me. And you'll find that if you do that, you're also going to be more in control of your anxiety and anger. And you don't even have to specifically say, I'm going to be in control of my anxiety and anger. You can just say, look, when I get frustrated, if something happens, I'm going to stop, take 3 deep breaths. If I need to, I'm going to walk around the block, and then I'll come back and do whatever. Be positive. Eat healthy. That's also kind of vague. It's positive though, but I'm going to have at least 3 healthy options for dessert every day, so that it's easier for me to choose a healthy alternative to something filled with sugar. Plenty of sleep. I am going to look up every day. I'm going to do at least one thing that they have reported increases the probability of a good night's sleep without taking medication. And I'm going to just quickly make a note in my journal which ones are effective and which aren't. And the effective ones I'm going to use all the time. I'm going to ask for help when I need it. That's a positive. Oh, does that save you trouble? That's a good one. Ask for help if you need it. Here's another enhancer. Start small and with only a few goals. Don't have more than 5. If you have more than 5, the chances of you achieving any of it, remember, you can always triage. If you've already made your resolutions and you have a long list, triage them. Look at every single one. Ask yourself, do I really want this? Does this align with who I am as a person, or am I doing this to please others? If you can't say you really want it, if you can't say it's really about you, put a line through it. If you say, yes, I do really want it, okay, then set it aside. And then after you get finished, you're going to triage them. You're going to have 5 goals at a time. So you're going to decide what comes first, what are you going to work on first, what work on second, etc. You got that? If then, as I mentioned earlier, when telling somebody, when setting a boundary, if then statements are really powerful in a lot of ways. They make great boundaries where you clearly state, if you do this, then this will be the consequence. Ta-da! You have integrity. You'll be believed. You never have to raise your voice. You can also use it to cement your goals. If it's Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, then I spend an extra 15 minutes on my exercise. If it's Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, then I spend an extra 15 minutes with my kids, and we read 2 books instead of 1 at bedtime. If then really cements it. I don't know why our brain likes it, but our brain really likes if then statements. It makes your brain will take it seriously. And also use if then to plan out if there are bumps in the road. If this doesn't work the first time I try it, if I don't get a job within the next 2 weeks, then I'm going to If I'm not getting callbacks when I'm applying for these new jobs, then I'm going to, if my boss keeps changing my schedule, then I'm going to actually start. Remember, if thens. If your brain loves those if thens. So make lots of if thens in your mind, and if you have a journal, write them down. Enhancer number 5, link new habits to existing routines. I told you with Talk Like Ted, I thought the book was so valuable. I got an audio version and I linked it, and I really enjoyed listening to it. So I linked it to something I was already doing, which was going for a daily walk. So it was really easy to get through the book because I linked it to something I was already doing every day. In the picture, I saw somebody that has a dog. Well, you've got to walk the dog already. You said to yourself, okay, in the new year, I'm going to get more exercise. So instead of just walking with the dog, I'm going to start off 10 minutes out of the walk. We usually walk for 20 minutes. 10 of those minutes, we're actually going to jog. And then as you get more fit, 20 minutes, the whole 20 minutes, we're going to run the whole time. Or we're going to go further. Or we're going to go faster. But link it with something you're already doing. You're going to work in the morning. Put something, a reminder of a new habit at the front door or with your keys so that you link that with something you're already doing. You're going for a drive. You want to learn something new. You want to hear something new. Get audiobooks and listen to them on the ride to work. Something that you really enjoy, link it to something you already have to do. It will make it more likely you'll actually get through it. Here's another enhancer. Track your progress and celebrate small wins. It doesn't have to be a major win. Celebrate any win. Tell yourself, okay, I get to watch 3 episodes of Downton Abbey if I am able to stick to my eating plan this whole week. So on Saturday, I'm going to set aside some time and I get to marathon Downton Abbey. Yeah, I love Downton Abbey. If whatever it happens to be, celebrate small wins. Just make sure that the way you celebrate doesn't undermine your progress. Don't tell yourself, if I lost, the 2 pounds this week that I've set as my goal, then I get to have a huge chocolate cake. Don't do that. Do something else instead. Build accountability and social support. Oh my goodness. You really increase your likelihood of making changes if you have other people doing it with you. You have somebody that wants to learn a new skill, take the class together. You have somebody that wants to lose weight, lose the weight together. You have somebody that wants to get fit, go to the gym together, or go to the walks together, or go to the runs together. Get somebody to do it with you. It really increases humans are social animals. It increases the probability you'll be successful. However, there are a couple of caveats to this. Number 1, do not share your goals unless with anyone who's not going to encourage you and help you. You have to be very careful about that. There are some people that if you tell them your goal, they will try to undermine you. They'll mock you. They'll laugh at you. They'll do things. You tell a certain family member that you're decided to reduce your weight, and every time you see them now, they have your favorite fattening foods, and they get upset if you don't just fill yourself. So you don't tell people unless you know that they're going to actually put blessings on your goals and not hindrances. What else? Here's another caveat to that. If you're trying to change a behavior, and I talked about gambling, do not hang around with people who still indulge in that behavior and or will encourage that behavior in you. Oh, it won't hurt to have a few more drinks. What's wrong with you? You can handle this. I've seen you do this before. Be very careful about that. Here's enhancer number 8. You're probably not going to have a smooth road. You might actually backslide at times. Some people can get straight and through, no backsliding. But if you do, please forgive yourself. And again, with the growth mindset, do not say if it's not easy and if I backslide, that means that this is not something I can do. Do not tell yourself that. That's not true. You just had a little bit of hit a little bump in the road. Get back on the horse. You forgive yourself, but you get back on the horse. You get back into whatever routine, whatever habits, whatever goal setting, you get back to it. Do not allow a temporary shortfall to get you to quit. Number 9, keep your goals aligned with your personal motivations and values. Again, make sure when you go through those goals, those resolutions, make sure it is something you really want. If not, either take it off the list or put it further down, okay? Put it for the next triage. Bundle the new behaviors with things you like to do. So if you like listening to a certain type of music, tell yourself, okay, if I do my run today, I get to listen to my favorite songs. So you turn what you do, there's a halo effect. You'll turn whatever that new habit is into something you like as well. It'll keep it from seeming like such hard work, which means you'll probably stay at it longer. And please, this is really important for all of us. Don't let the negativity in the world overwhelm you. For all of us, 2026 can be our best year ever. And one of the things I'm ordering a copy of is this, Atomic Habits. When I was looking up and researching the best ways to have resolutions work, this book kept being talked about, Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm getting a copy of it. And if it has enough tips in it that I think are useful, we can actually do a show on it. But I want you to actually be positive. Let's make this the best year so far, our best year yet. Any questions or comments, you know how to get a hold of me. And coming soon, guess what? My online classes, favorite topics. If you have a topic you'd like to learn, please contact me. And here's the way you can also book me to come and do training or education for you or your organization. Screenshot this. I now have an agent again, and she's really good, and we will work within your budget. You can also look up all the different things I do on my website, which is www.ethicalstrategic.com. There I talk about all the different specialties that I have. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the holiday. Happy New Year, everybody. And if you want to contact me for any reason, go on X at Dr. Dina1 and just leave me a comment. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you in 2026. No more boring Tuesdays.